It's been a topsy-turvy season in Formula 1, but we are here for the finale of the F1 season and at the Belgian Grand Prix. First of all, Tom has revealed that Valtteri Bottas actually saved his career when he moved to Mercedes-Benz, as he stated that it was Bottas that called Toto Wolff and stated to him that Tom had no seat and he needed the drive. Now, you would have seen ever since Tom joined Mercedes that he has had the Bottas's initials and number 77 on his gloves, just like Bottas did when he was obviously there. This is as a form of a tribute and a thank you tribute for Valtteri Bottas from Tom, after Bottas, as it stated, effectively saved his career, so he wanted to memorise him after Bottas was initially at Mercedes in the past. Speaking of Mercedes, and there is going to be 2 departures this season, not 1. Lewis Hamilton is now set to leave Mercedes at the end of the season. Lewis Hamilton had initially signed a 2-year contract last season, but has decided that he doesn't want to be at Mercedes any longer and has got plans to go elsewhere in Formula 1. So he will not be at Mercedes anymore, and now that means that over the winter, Toto Wolff and all the rest of the Mercedes now need to find 2 drivers, not 1. Next up is Fernando Alonso. He is set to retire from F1 at the end of the season. Fernando Alonso, who currently drives for Red Bull, says he's had an absolutely phenomenal career in Formula 1 and looks to do bigger and better things in the future. And he also hasn't ruled out coming back to Formula 1, but he says it won't be as a driver and he may get involved with other teams in and about. Finally, Renault say that they are ready for next year and have big plans to fight back. We're not quite sure what their plans are, but Renault do say that they're ready to make some surprises in Formula 1 heading into the new season. Moving on into the practice pointers, so oversteer seems to be costing Tom horribly in the middle sector on his laps. He seems to be coping very well in the first and final sectors, but in the middle sector, it's where at least 7, maybe even 7/10 of a second, maybe even a second is being lost in that Mercedes-Benz, such as the poor chassis that they have compared to Ferrari. Speaking of Ferrari, they're in a completely different league at the Belgian Grand Prix. They're looking to secure the Constructors' Championship for a 2nd year in a row, and they're in good hands to do that, as they are very much clear of the rest of the field. Finally, Williams Porsche are showing some great pace on the long runs heading into this weekend, with of course Williams coming to Formula 1 for the final time before Porsche make their official takeover of the team. But until that, guys, let's get into qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Foxy98 here. Welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. So we are here for the season finale of the F1 journey, and as you can see in qualifying, didn't really start that well, but yeah, we're here for the final race of season 2 of the F1 journey, and it's been an amazing season, and we're going to try and make that an amazing ending. But as you can see, into qualifying, it was actually raining for qualifying, but it was set to be a dry race, but my first lap didn't really go too well. And overall, I didn't really have any pace at all in the wet conditions. I set the car up formally for the race, so I was going full dry weather setup to try and help. And just overall, the car just didn't feel amazing around here. I wasn't feeling very happy with it. The middle sector especially, I just couldn't get anything out of it. So we're going to have a lot of work to do if we're going to do a good job here at this race. And of course, with the Constructors' Championship still pretty close, this isn't a good thing. But, you know, it is what it is. And that's what happened. But we're coming into the pits now, as you can see, getting back in the garage for our 2nd attempt at this, just getting a lap in, really. Otherwise, it'll pretty much be last to question mark at this rate. But there you go. We're just going to try and do the best we can here today for this Grand Prix. And you can see, setting myself up, and we're going to get ready for another attempt. And as you can see, it's going to take a little bit of time now to repair my front wing. As you can see there, it's currently Ricciardo ahead of Alonso in the Red Bull. But as you can see then, as we head onto our final attempt here, this attempt as well wasn't even brilliant. I just wasn't quick around here. It just really wasn't. Car just wasn't quite suited to how I liked it. And as you can see, I'm going to be qualifying way down the order, but it won't be P20. It'll be up in P14, but still pretty much similar to Japan, really. I was qualified in P13 in Japan. We know how that went. But here today in P14, not the best thing. And you can see there, it is a Ferrari front row lockout ahead of the 2 Red Bulls, who are actually quicker than Hamilton today. Then the 2 Jaguars, then the 2 Audis, and then we've got Lando Norris and the McLaren there in P10. So he actually managed to do a decent job for McLaren. I don't know where Stoffel Van Dorn, P13, never mind, I found out where Van Dorn is. And you can see there, 1.7 on the pace. Just didn't quite, because I didn't get that good banker lap in, I just couldn't then strive to improve in different areas. I was sort of using my one and only attempt as a quote-unquote banker lap. But heading into the race itself then, we're going to be starting on the soft tyres and moving on to the super soft tyres. There is no point in doing the 2-stop around here because it's not worth it. So it's always worth doing the 1-stop. Anyway, we're on the grids here now for the Grand Prix. We've got 5 red lights for the season 2 finale, and it's lights out. Away we go here to start the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a good start from the 2 Ferraris from the get-go. I think, though, Ricciardo might just be a little bit hesitant off the line there, and in towards turn 1, one of the Red Bulls there going down the inside and makes a position up early on in this Grand Prix. Now, as you can see here, though, we're still fighting further back here. We've made a couple of places at the start there, and now we're catching up to the 2 Audis in front, so I believe we got past Stoffel Van Dorn, which is also a critical thing, or maybe even Lando Norris, that might be. And now we're going to try and press onwards here. We're getting very close to the Audi there, and you can see that Carlos Sainz and the Red Bull trying to make up some places early on as we now try and go 3 wide here with the Audis in towards Lecombe. It is going to be 3 wide here between myself and the Jaguars. We get past one of the Jaguars. I think that's Gasly, and now we're going down the inside of Vettel here, but Vettel holds firm in his position. And yeah, look at that. Carlos Sainz leads the Grand Prix for the Red Bull as we go down the inside on Sebastian Vettel, and we move ourselves up another position, but it is, I believe, it is Sainz versus Verstappen, who is then ahead of the other Ferrari of Daniel Ricciardo. And speaking of that fight, here we are, the battle for first place. Then we've got Sainz versus Max Verstappen, and Verstappen there just easily gets past the Red Bull there, and he is now up into the lead of the race. Sainz dropping down into P2, but a good start from Sainz, and he'll try and push onwards now as we look ahead and try and fight Nico Rosberg in the Audi. As you can see now here, moving the car up into some rich mixture to try and get a little bit more speed, a little bit more performance from our car. And now we're going to try and find a way past Rosberg as we go up Eau Rouge, and then towards the straight we go now. We're going to try and see if we can make a maneuver, and as you can see here, we're going to move over to the inside line. Not actually enough initially. I have to try and drop back into the slipstream a bit there, but eventually going back in the slipstream of Nico Rosberg. We do manage to do that, as well as Hamilton there just swooped around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo in the Ferrari. So Ricciardo having a bad start to things in this Grand Prix, and he's starting to struggle a little bit, and it's very similar to Verstappen in his ages now. As we can see here, Hamilton now was in P3, but as you can see by the graphics on the bottom, he is going to move up into P2. Sainz is going to drop down to P3, and as you can see there, Hamilton, that's how Hamilton made the move there, in towards Lecombe, round the outside with some DRS, and now he can try and hunt down Verstappen. And then unfortunately for Sainz, it gets a lot worse because he's currently in P3, but as you can see, he's going to drop to P4 because Daniel Ricciardo in the Ferrari is now starting to make his comeback drive through the field. And you can see there I am in the background actually. So Ricciardo now here trying to make his way past Sainz. So Sainz, after an incredible start, is now slipping down the order ever so slightly, and that's not going to help him so much. Ricciardo now goes around the outside here of Carlos Sainz, and also from that we also go around the outside of Brendan Hartley in the Jaguar there. So both making a couple of places up off the start, and now on to lap 5 of the Grand Prix. We now need to try and close up to the back of Fernando Alonso in the McLaren. So in the McLaren? Not in the McLaren, he's in the Red Bull. I'm thinking of real life. But anyway, as you can see now, we're going to try and find a way past Fernando Alonso. Up Eau Rouge we go. And speaking of that, why not have both perspectives here? So I'm on the left-hand side in P5. Alonso is in P6, I should say. Alonso on the right-hand side in P5 himself. You can see that we're closing ever so slightly, heading up towards Lecombe now. And we're going to go down the inside, nice and late braking here. And we've managed to find our way past Fernando Alonso, swooping nice and wide there. And we're up into 5th place in this Grand Prix now. Next up the road is Carlos Sainz, but we need to see what the pace is like. However, though, it's not looking good for Mercedes-Benz in terms of their constructors' aspirations. I'm currently struggling to catch up to Carlos Sainz. Verstappen leads the Grand Prix, and now it looks like Daniel Ricciardo fancies a run on Lewis Hamilton. Up the hill they go, past Eau Rouge, now down onto the Kemmel Straight, and Ricciardo has got great straight line speed here. And he's going to open up the DRS, he's going to move over. In fact, Hamilton defends the inside line, but Ricciardo just breezes past. The Ferrari is just so fast this year, and as you can see, round the outside goes Daniel Ricciardo, and he moves up into 2nd place in the Grand Prix, and that is him up into P2. Hamilton drops to P3. However, now it is going to be lap 13 of the Grand Prix, and this is our one and only stop of the race. And as you can see, I can't really catch Sainz. To be honest, in terms of where I'm at the moment, P5, this is kind of where my pace is at. I can't get any closer to Ferrari and also Hamilton, and I can't get any closer to Carlos Sainz. So I'm sort of in like a little bit of a rock and a hard place here. But we're coming in for a set of super soft tyres now. Decent stop there by the mechanics now. As we come out of the pit lane here, you can see that is one of the Jaguars, I believe it is, coming in for their stop. I believe, yeah, that's correct. One of the Jaguars coming in for their stop now. And as you can see, we're coming out of the stop there with a 21.3 second pit stop. And we're out now for a fresh set of super soft tyres. And we're just going to do whatever we can. I don't know what that's going to be, but we're just going to try everything at this rate because, you know, we can just give it our all. If we can't get any further up than P5, then hey, we can't get any further up than P5. We tried. So that's pretty much how we respond to that in this race. But obviously, things again start to go even worse for myself and also Lewis Hamilton here because now Carlos Sainz here with the DRS wide open. Hamilton's actually got car problems at this rate now. So Hamilton was defending against Carlos Sainz as they go in towards Le Con now. And that battle for third place is over. Sainz gets in front of Lewis Hamilton and stays there because Hamilton was initially doing well at defending. But as you can see on lap 21 now, Sainz has pulled a 6-second or so gap to Hamilton. And unfortunately, it's not enough for Hamilton. He's got car issues. And this just means that, annoyingly for him, it means that even though he's been quicker than me all weekend long, Hamilton's been so much faster than me. And annoyingly, I'm about to just lunge it up the inside into the chicane here and make the move stick. Give him plenty of room that he does need. I went a little bit hot into the chicane, if I'm honest. But I made it through. And annoyingly there for Hamilton, he doesn't get the deserved position of, well, P3 for that matter, that he so thoroughly deserved because he was so much faster this weekend and it's a big shame for him. And on to the final lap of the Grand Prix now, lap 22. That was pretty much it. There wasn't necessarily loads and loads of action here at the Belgian Grand Prix. There was a bit of fighting at the start. A lot of action pretty much at the start of the race happened. And then it really settled down, like the gap between Verstappen, in fact, who wins the Grand Prix. Verstappen, Hamilton, Sainz, Ricciardo, myself, Alonso. We were all very, very close in this. And then obviously that didn't go to plan at the end of the second stint. And what didn't go to plan is that I don't have a camera replay of it, but there was that back marker that had a puncture and Hamilton actually hit him going into Blanchimont, so he actually retired from the race on the last lap. So what was going to be P4 and 5 for Mercedes-Benz only turned out to be P4. It wasn't anywhere good enough, but there it is then, guys. That is it for the finale of the F1 journey. Verstappen beats Daniel Ricciardo ahead of Sainz, and then myself ahead of Fernando Alonso, Sergio Perez, Lando Norris, Giovinazzi, and Ocon. Even Hartley as well hit that back marker as well. So 2 drivers retired on the last lap because of a back marker that had a slow puncture, and they went into the back of him. Giovinazzi scores points for the first time. So there you go. All good things happen. Let's get into the championship standings. Alright, so taking a look at the drivers' standings for the final time then in this season. We obviously won the World Drivers' Championship by what was a sizable margin of 59 points. But of course we know exactly why. Obviously the Mercedes car developed a lot better in the middle of the year. And the drop of form with Verstappen and also Ricciardo definitely paved a lot of for me. And it really helped out. And of course starting the season in the Ferrari itself probably made the championship a tad easier. If we were Mercedes for the whole season, maybe it could have been different, but obviously we won't be in a top team at all next season, I'll guarantee you that. But anyway, the 2 Ferraris, second and third, Verstappen ends up beating Ricciardo. Of course, Ricciardo did jump in front of Verstappen, but then Max gained some momentum in the last bit of the season. Hamilton, quite a disappointing year for him in P4 on 140 points. And of course, we know he is no longer going to be at Mercedes next year, so where he'll go will be quite interesting. Fernando Alonso finishes his final season in Formula 1 in 5th place on 116 points. So that's a great time for him. And Carlos Sainz finishes just behind on 103. Vettel just manages to beat Lando Norris. Obviously, Norris with a sensational first year at McLaren, and hopefully he can try and bring that forwards and maybe even get a different drive if he doesn't want to be at McLaren any longer. Brendan Hartley, a great year for him, 51 points in the Jaguar ahead of Pascal Wehrlein in the Force India on 44 points. Of course, Force India no longer going to be in Formula 1 after their takeover, but by who, we're not sure just yet. Van Dorn finishes on 38 points, and then Sergio Perez finishes on 31 ahead of Nico Rosberg, who's on 20 points. Gasly, disappointing year for him, 19 points, but he had so many unreliability problems and he was running in the points a lot and then just had punctures and this, that and the other. Really just not a good season for him, and he'll look to bounce back next year. Ocon finishes in P15 in the championship with 12 points. Charles Leclerc on 7 points of BMW Sauber. Giovinazzi finally got some points, and they were his only points to finish P17 on 4 points. Valtteri Bottas with just the 1 point in the season. That was at Austria. And then the 2 Renault cars, a horrible year for both Renaults. both didn't score a single point and pretty much were nowhere near the points-paying positions. And finally, looking at the Constructors' standings, Ferrari have won their second Constructors' Championship in a row. Obviously, they won it last season, and they've gone ahead and won it yet again this season. Mercedes-Benz are on 385 points. They closed up to Ferrari, but eventually they just crumbled in the Belgian Grand Prix, and Ferrari took advantage of that, so they managed to build up an even bigger gap than what it probably should have been. Red Bull finished on 219 points in a very lonely season for them. They were pretty much third best throughout the entire year, consistent in that area, but Ferrari and Mercedes were just steps ahead. McLaren finished on 110 points, a great season for McLaren. They managed to clinch 4th in the championship this year, and this could only mean bigger and better things for the team as they look to try and get back up to the top. Audi finished on 98 points. They'll be disappointed with that one. Obviously, it was a great year last year, but of course, that was because I was the world champion with them last year, really helping out in that department. But also, I felt like Audi overall just wasn't quite as quick enough last year as they were this year. And obviously they were very good at the start of the season with Vettel, especially obviously he won the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, but just didn't quite come out for them in the second half of the season. Jaguar finished on 70 points at the end, a great set of points for their debut season in Formula 1, and they'll be looking to improve on that. Force India, with their final season, finishes on 56 points, a decent haul of points for them this year, but of course the factory teams just doing that much better. Williams Porsche finished on 35 points. Of course, we know next year it will just be Porsche F1. Williams will no longer be named in Formula 1. BMW Sauber finished on 8 points in the season. Again, not a great season for them. They only got the point scoring finishes in the Austrian Grand Prix, but they were definitely a lot better than Renault, who didn't even score a point this year. And of course, if Renault are to say what they say, and that is to fight back hard, they have got some serious work to do if they're going to be doing that. But guys, that is going to be it for the F1 Journey Season 2. If you guys have enjoyed it, feel free to drop it a like. If you're new around here as well and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, feel free to subscribe as well. It's been an awesome, awesome adventure. This will always be my favourite series, no matter what anyone says. And I'm looking forward to Season 3 next year in F1 2018, somewhere around about Christmas time, probably. But until then, guys, I will see you then. Take care all.